I suppose?
They're away in Tunis.
Oh, this is no time of the year for Tunis.
Turn that back on again, please.
I'll do no such thing.
Fine, if you insist on being boorish and idiotic.
Turn it off! It's driving me mad!
Temperamental, dear. Try to control yourself.
Turn it off!
I won't.
Fine!
You've ruined the record.
Good thing too!
Oh, disagreeable pig.
Amanda. Darling. Sorry.
Sort yourself.
Insolent swine! Oh, God, what have I done?
I hate you. Listen indeed. And I'm bored of listening to you sadistic bully.
Thank you! A pretty display, I must say.
Laughing like that.
Very amusing.
Stop it!
Indeed.
Stop it! Stop it! Oh, I hate and loathe you. You are overbearing and conceited and utterly impossible.
You're a vile-tempered, loose-living, wicked little witch, and I never want to see or hear from you ever again.
This is the end. Do you hear? The end. Finally and forever.
You're not going out like this.
Oh, yes, I am.
I don't know you're not.
Yes,
Get
I
back
am. But don't be. Oh, I hate and loathe you. Marry you again. Never. I'd rather die in torment.
Shut up! I would marry you again. You would come to me on bended knee. You are an evil-minded little bride. I never want to say from you again.
Face brave. Cat swine. Face brave. Cat swine.
Charles and Ruth are about to have breakfast and talk about the paranormal events that happened the night before.
Good morning, darling.
Good morning, Charles.
It certainly
It
is.
certainly is what?
A good morning, a tremendously good morning. There isn't a cloud in the sky and everything looks really warm.
Edith, keeping your breakfast hot, you best call.
Anything interesting in the time?
Oh, don't be silly,
Edith.
Charles.
I intend to work all day.
Good.
It's extraordinary, isn't it, about daylight?
What do you mean?
The way it reduces everything to normal.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure I'm very glad to hear it.
Hooray. Glacial this morning.
Are you surprised?
Quite frankly, yes. I expected more from you.
Well, really?
I always thought of you as a woman of perception, understanding.
Perhaps it's one of my off days.
Good morning, Edith!
Good morning, sir.
Feeling fit?
Yes, sir.
How's cook?
I don't know, sir. I haven't asked.
You should begin everyone by asking how they are. It oils the wheels.
Yes, sir.
Greet her for me, will you?
Yes, sir.
That will be all for the moment, Edith.
Yes, madam.
I wish you wouldn't be facetious with the servant, Charles. It confuses and undermines their morale.
I consider that point of view retrogressive, downright futile.
I don't care what you consider it. I have to run this house and you don't.
I am implying I couldn't.
Oh, you're at liberty to try.
I take back what I said about being a good morning. It's a horrid morning.
You best eat your breakfast while it's hot.
It isn't.
Now look here, Charles. In your younger days, this display of roguish flippancy might have been alluring. In a middle-aged novelist, it's nauseating.
Would you like me to ride at your feet in a friendly self-bathing?
that to be equally nauseating, but certainly more appropriate.
I really don't see what I've done that's so awful.
You behaved abominably last night. You wounded and insulted me.
I was the victim of an aberration.
Nonsense! You were drunk. Drunk! You had 4 strong dry martinis before dinner, a great deal too much burgundy at dinner, God knows how much port and Cummel with Dr. Bramman while I was entertaining that madwoman. And 2 double brandies later I gave them you myself. Of course you were drunk.
So, that's your story, is it?
You refused to come to bed. And when I came down at 3 in the morning, I found you in an alcoholic coma on the sofa with the fire out, your hair all over your face.
Ruth, darling, I wasn't in the slightest bit drunk. Something very peculiar happened to me.
Nonsense!
It isn't nonsense. I know it looks like nonsense now in the clear, remorseless light of day, but last night it was very far from being nonsense. I honestly had some sort of hallucination.
I'd really rather not discuss it any further.
We must discuss it. It's very disturbing.
There, I agree with you. It showed you in the most unpleasant light. I find that exceedingly disturbing.
I swear to you that during the séance, I heard Elvira's voice.
Nobody else did.
I can't help that I did.
You couldn't have.
And later on, I was even more distinctly that I could see her in the room, even spoke to her. After you got up to bed, we had quite occasional chit-chat.
And you seriously expect me to believe that you weren't drunk?
I know I wasn't drunk. If I'd have been at all drunk, I'd have a dreadful hangover now, shouldn't I?
I'm not at all sure that you haven't.
I haven't got the trace of a headache, and my tongue's not coated. Look at it.
I have no desire to look at your tongue. Can I put it together?
I know what it is. You're frightened.
Frightened? Rubbish! What is there to be frightened of?
Elvira. You wouldn't have minded at all if I had been drunk. It's all because I got mixed up with Elvira.
I seem to remember last night before dinner telling you your views of female psychology were rather didactic. I was right. I should have added they were puerile.
That's where it all began.
When what all
When
began?
we were talking too much about Elvira, it's dangerous to have someone so strongly in your mind when you're dealing with the occult.
She certainly wasn't strongly in my mind.
She wasn't mine.
Oh, she was she?
You tried to say that she was more physically attractive than me, so you could hold it over me.
I didn't care. I didn't give a hoot how physically attractive she is.
Oh, yes, you do. Your whole being is devoured with jealousy.
Oh, this is too much!
More women, my God, what I think of women.
Oh, your view of women is academic, to say the least of it. Just because you were dominated by them does not necessarily follow you know anything about them.
I have never been dominated by anyone.
You were hag-ridden by your mother until you were 23. Then you got into the clutches of that whatever her name
Mrs.
was.
Winfield,
I'm not
what?
interested! There was Elvira. She ruled you with a rod of iron.
Elvira never ruled anyone. She was much too elusive for that. It was one of her greatest charms.
Then there was Maud Chatterer.
My affair with Maud Chatterer lasted 7.5 weeks and she cried all the time.
Oh, the tyranny of tears! Then
If
there
you
was
should make an adventure of my sex life, dear, it is only fair for me to tell you that you've missed out several episodes. I shall consult my diary and give you a complete list after lunch.
You don't need to impress me with your teeth. I respect once!
The only woman who's ever tried to dominate me is you, and you've been at it for years.
That is completely untrue.
Oh, no, it isn't. You boss me all the way about. You won't even allow me to have a hallucination if I want one.
Now, look here, chaff. Alcohol will only ruin your whole life if you allow it to get a hold of you, you know.
Once and for all, Ruth, I will have you understand that what happened last night had nothing whatsoever to do with alcohol. You have based your whole satisfaction and you've based your deductions on a complete fallacy. I am willing to grant you that what happened last night was some sort of delusion brought on by suggestion or hypnosis. But I was stone cold sober from the first and very upset into the bargain.
You were upset indeed. What about me?
You behaved with an obtuse lack of comprehension that frankly shocked me.
I believe I acted remarkably patient. I shall know better next time.
Instead of offering out a gentle hand to guide me, you shouted staccato orders at me like a sergeant major.
You seem to get that you gratuitously insulted me.
I did not.
You called me a gutter snipe. You told me to shut up, and when I quietly suggested that we go to bed, you said with the most disgusting lyric, was an immoral suggestion.
I was talking to Elvira!
Well, if you were, it only conjures up a fragrant image of your first marriage.
My first marriage was particularly charming, and I think it's perfectly horrible for you to sneer at it.
I'm not nearly as interested in your first marriage as you think I am. It's your second one that's absorbing me. It seems to be on the rocks.
Only because you persist in taking up this ridiculous attitude.
My attitude is that of any normal woman whose husband hurls abuse at her.
I was not drunk!
Oh, quite undoubted how the heave in the kitchen.
I didn't care to hear the Folkestone Town Hall! I was not drunk!
Oh, you're so drunk.
How can I control myself in the face of this idiotic stubbornness? It's giving me claustrophobia.
Let's call Dr. Bradman!
Mrs. Condamine has invited over Madame McCarthy in hopes of resolving a supernatural problem she is facing. However, things don't go as planned.
Mrs. Condamine.
Yes?
Madame McCarthy to see you.
Send her in.
My dear Mrs. Condamine! I came directly, I got your message.
That is very kind of you indeed.
Kind? Nonsense. I look upon it as an outing.
I'm so glad. Would you like some tea?
China or Indian?
China.
Oh, good. I never touch Indian. It upsets my vibrations.
Well, do sit down then.
I find this room very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Yes, I'm not entirely surprised.
Have you ever been to Cullen Manor?
No, I'm afraid I have not.
That's very interesting too. Strikes you like a blow between the eyes the moment you walk into the drawing room. 2 lumps of sugar, please. No more at all.
Of course. Madame McCarthy, I am profoundly disturbed and I want your help.
Ha ha! I thought as much. What are these sandwiches?
A cucumber.
Oh, good. Couldn't be better. Fire away.
You see, it's most awfully difficult to explain.
Facts first. Explanation afterwards.
Yes, but it's those facts that are so difficult, you see. They're just so fantastic.
Facts often are. Take creative talent, for example. How do you account for that?
Yes,
Think of Mozart, Michelangelo, and Shakespeare. Mozart snatching sounds out of the air and putting them on paper when he was
Yes.
having their baby. Facts. Nothing less than facts.
of course.
It's a fashion nowadays to ascribe it all to glands, but my answer to that is
Yes, I'm sure you're quite right.
there are more things in heaven and earth. They are dreamt of in our philosophy, Mrs. Condamine.
I'm sure there are.
Come on now. Think of one. Out with it. You've heard strange noises in the night, no doubt.
No,
Door slamming, boards creaking, subdued moaning in the passages, is that it?
No, I'm afraid it's not.
No sudden gusts of cold wind, I hope.
No, I'm afraid it's much worse than that.
Ooh, I'm on attention.
The other night, after the seance, something happened.
I knew it! A poltergeist. They're incredibly cunning, you know. Sometimes they can lie doggo for days.
Yes, I understand that. You know, my husband Charles was married before.
I've heard it mentioned.
Why, his first wife, Elvira, died comparatively young.
Where?
In this house. In this very room, actually. Yes.
I'm beginning to see daylight.
Convalescing after pneumonia, and one day she was watching one of the BBC musical programs and she started laughing hysterically and died of a heart attack.
And she materialized the other night
Yes.
after I'd gone.
Not to me, but to my husband.
Ah! Capital! Ah, capital! But that's splendid!
I can understand that from your own professional point of view, this might be regarded as a major
A
achievement.
triumph, my dear. Nothing more or less than a triumph.
From my own personal point of view, this is nothing more or less than embarrassing.
At last, a genuine materialization.
Could you please sit down, Madame McCarthy?
How can anybody sit down at moments like this? This is tremendous. I haven't had such a success since the Sudbury's days.
I can understand that. And I understand that you want to take pride in your achievement, but I'll have to beg you to sit down and try and control your natural exuberance.
Forgive me, Mrs. Condamine. I'm being abominably selfish. How can I help you?
remain here indefinitely?
It depends largely on her.
But my dear, Madam McCarthy.
Where is she now?
Oh, my husband's driven her to Folkestone. She was very eager to see a friend of hers who's staying at the Crown.
Forgive this formality, Mrs. Condamine, but I shall make a report for the psychical research.
And I would be very much obliged if there were no names mentioned.
The report will be confidential.
Yes, you see, this is a small town and gossip would be most undesirable.
I quite understand. You say she is visible only to husband.
Yes.
Visible only to husband. Audible! Audible too, I presume.
Extremely audible.
Extremely audible. Was your husband devoted to her?
Yes, I believe so.
Husband devoted.
It was apparently a reasonably happy marriage. I beg your pardon.
When did she pass over?
7 years ago.
She must have been on the waiting list.
The waiting list?
Yes! Otherwise she would have gone beyond the materialization stage by now. She must have marked herself down for a return visit, and she couldn't have managed it unless there was a strong influence at work.
You mean to tell me that my husband, Charles,